So, should you play Divine Journey 2? I recently finished the pack and have a few thoughts I'd like to share about the experience. So I started this journey on the 29th of September on version 2.5.0 and unlocked the final quest on December 28th after 694 hours played. This is not a short experience and is firmly categorised as an expert pack, as almost all items have tweaked recipes and are gated in some form or another. DJ2 will take you on a journey where you'll be fighting bosses, exploring dimensions, solving puzzles, mining resources, farming crops, automating machines, building multi-blocks and crafting infinity, all in your quest to unlock the Bag of Truth. The beginning of the pack is a typical Minecraft start where you'll be gathering basic resources, farming cattle and getting familiar with your surroundings. The pack has a very well put together questbook and the first 3 chapters are all about establishing yourself in the world. Tinker's Construct is the first way in which you'll process the ores you mine through the use of the smeltery, as well as making use of the Tinker's tool crafting. Early on you also unlock the Totemic mod, which involves performing multiple rituals to summon various animals, all leading to the first boss fight of the pack. Baycock will then drop his bow, which is used as a crafting ingredient to allow progress into Immersive Engineering, Roots and the Twilight Forest. I enjoyed this first portion of the pack as it didn't feel too difficult, although some of the Totemic rituals got a little tedious. Chapter 4, Immersive Engineering, is really where the pack starts to get going. You'll be building your first machines, making your first RF power, and unlocking steel to access the Nether. The Immersive chapter is a long one, but you'll be guided to build the coke ovens and the blast furnaces, which you can later upgrade, as well as the metal press, which unfortunately is required throughout the whole pack, as it's the only way to produce wires. However, the metal press is the best way early game to craft plates and rods, used in many of the tweaked recipes of the pack. Throughout Immersive, you'll also be guided to make the fermenter, squeezer and refinery combo to automate the production of biodiesel, which you can then burn in a diesel generator for RF production. This does take a while to get up and running, as you'll need a sustainable farm going for something like canola to be able to supply the machines with for fuel. Other than solar or perhaps some thermoelectric generators or windmills, power generation options are limited until you unlock the rainbow generator much later in the pack. I think there should have been more options for power in the beginning of the game, but you can certainly survive off multiple diesel generators, and with a big enough power buffer you can definitely make it work until you have access to something more powerful. The Nether here is a very dangerous place, with enemies from Bewitchment, Divine RPG and also vanilla mobs. There is also the Better Nether mod, which adds some interesting and deadly wildlife to this dimension. You'll have to explore the Nether to collect many unique resources and mob drops for Roots progression. These crops are used in the spell recipes, and the Roots chapter will lead you into the Twilight Forest. In my opinion, the Nether should be made less cluttered, however I did enjoy the extra challenge of the Nether. It is somewhere you'll be revisiting to fight bosses and collect resources throughout the majority of the pack. One quick tip I can give you guys here is to invest in the Sky Soarer spell. It takes a little investment to make, but it's well worth doing and will give you a very powerful form of transportation for the upcoming exploration block of the pack. I did choose to play through the Twilight Forest as I really enjoy the mod, however all the items are craftable and it's not necessarily required for progression, which I think is nice. Once you brave the Nether and finish off Roots progression, you can move into Mekanism, which unlocks the next tier of machinery. No longer do you have to use your slow immersive blast furnaces to make steel, and instead you can use Mekanism enrichment chambers and infusers. Mekanism is a great mod, and something I always enjoy playing with, even if the strict IO of the machines can be somewhat of a challenge to work with sometimes. Through Mekanism you can also unlock your first applied energetics system, a digital item storage and crafting solution which is the main centerpiece of the base, and is more or less essential to completing this pack. However, at this stage you don't have any access to auto crafting or the crafting terminal, as those are locked until chapter 13. This was a controversial move and one I was a little skeptical of. Even though I think it should be unlocked a little bit earlier than it was, I think gating auto crafting was actually not such a bad thing. It does delay automating with applied energetics, which forces you to really think about the placements of your machines and designing with this in mind. Although base design on its own is a huge topic and probably enough for another video, it's something I feel I can improve on a lot in the future, although overall I'm happy with the final result of the base. After Mekanism, here begins the big exploration block of the pack, featuring Autumn, Erebus, Aether and Icica. These were probably my favourite portion of the exploration in this pack, as at this point you don't have access to the most powerful gear or tools, meaning that mobs are still a threat. Autumn is also where you can find the 82 inscriber presses and the meteors that spawn in the world, as well as half the materials used in the base. There are also some interesting bosses to conquer in these dimensions, my favourite probably being the last boss of the Aether. After exploration you can access extra utilities too, and mob grinding utilities. These tools are essential and are the best way to get mob loot as well as experience for crafting and enchanting. Mob farms give you a way to generate many important resources and is something you should make use of throughout Divine Journey. You can also make use of powered spawners later in the game to farm specific mobs. The big tech block of the pack also features industrial foregoing, some RF tools, ender utilities and actually additions. This part is also where you unlock the rest of applied energistics and you can start to implement auto crafting. It is a good idea at this point to slow down progression and automate most of the items and recipes you have access to. Rushing through progression at this point will only mean doing it later, which will become more difficult as you're pretty much required to automate everything at some point or another. The tech block was a lot of fun though, and it is very satisfying to automate all the machines and process your ores and resources. Passively crafting resources is also something I definitely recommend for many items. Doing everything on request is only going to take you so far. The rainbow generator from extra utilities is unlocked around this section of the pack, and is probably another highlight of Divine Journey. Enabling this thing means running all of the other generators from EU2, each with their own unique inputs and fuels. This provides an excellent automation challenge and rewards you with a lot of RF per tick, which you can use to power the rest of your base with. So magic themed mods is the next big challenge of the pack and starts at chapter 15 through 23. Starting with blood magic, which has been tweaked quite significantly to include all the essences from 1.7 with increased resource costs. My advice here is to invest in a very robust blood magic automation with multiple blood altars. I went with 3, although more may be required depending on your pace. Blood magic in the current version of the pack could do with a few tweaks I think, as the high resource cost combined with the LP for things like tenebrae used in draconic cores is a little high. I think adjusting this to give more per craft or at a reduced LP cost would be a good change. Blood magic will give you a significant challenge here, and because of the unique recipes for essences and reagents, it will mean automating many different mods to obtain the ingredients you need. I did learn a lot about blood magic here and made good use of integrated dynamics to automate it all. Also featured here is Abyssocraft, Evilcraft, Botania, Thaumcraft and Bewitchment. These are all required to progress, so for those of you who are not into the magic mods, perhaps this isn't the pack to look at. However, I would encourage you to give it a go. It is very enjoyable to progress through these mods and automate their various mechanics. Thaumcraft Essentia is also something here that is necessary to automate, and something I particularly enjoyed doing. Planning this out and making use of totemic energistics to store and transport the massive amount of Essentia used was a lot of fun. I also really liked playing through Astral Sorcery. This chapter was probably one of my favourites in the game, and I think the chapters in the questbook are well designed overall. After chapter 16, Mystical Agriculture is unlocked, which is another big part of the game. This was also another fun portion of the pack. Obtaining and crafting the various essences into their resources was awesome. There's some really nice things you can do here, and Emmy will solve most of your basic resource shortages. Again, this is something you're going to want to make sure is pretty robust, as it will make things a lot easier moving forward. Although not every seed is unlocked right away, with some of the tier 6s being locked until chapter 29. After probably several hundred hours at this point, you'll finally unlock the late game by visiting space. This chapter has you put all of your automations you've set up to build your rocket and launch yourself into space. The first stop being the moon. Here you can find unique dungeons which are also featured in many of the other dimensions and planets you'll visit. I thought this chapter was pretty balanced with a lot of unique quests, bosses to fight and places to visit. Discovering the various planets and collecting resources from them felt very rewarding and features some unique puzzles within the asteroid belts. Alchemistry, Draconic Evolution and RF Tools dimensions are the next part of the game. Lots of challenges again here in these chapters, and there are many options given to you and ways to progress. Things here start to feel very expensive at this point in the pack, especially all the machine frames, of which there are 20, all crafted from the previous tiers. Yeah, things can get quite crazy here towards the end. But you can also craft and explore the RF Tools dimensions, which are awesome. It's a very powerful way to generate specific resources such as Mystic Ingots, Supremium or Bromine. EMC is gated very far into the pack, requiring chapter 28. Although it is a good way to generate resources in the hundreds of thousands or maybe even millions, which are sometimes required at this point in the pack. Although because of the insane cost of the energy condensers, EMC isn't really a long-term solution for items, and means you still must rely on your mystical agriculture setup. For those of you who have played up to this point or have seen my playthrough, you'll know the cost of these condensers, and was something I was waiting for days to craft. I think this is one of the biggest shortfalls of an otherwise well put together pack. The cost of these condensers are too high in my opinion, even with tools like the Watch of Flow and Time and a very robust automation for all or most of the items required. The material cost on those things could be toned down a little bit. Crafting all the creative items, extreme crafting and the Draconic Evolution fusion crafting was a lot of fun here though. I'm not going to spoil the final chapter quests here, but I will say if you haven't seen it, it's a very satisfying ending to an amazing journey. Overall, I think Divine Journey 2 is an awesome experience. It's definitely the most challenging mod pack I've played, and I'm willing to bet it's probably one of the most difficult out there. I think if you're looking for a 1.12 expert pack with tech, magic, and exploration, then it's definitely one to consider. There is still a team actively developing this pack, so perhaps some of the things have been changed by the time you watch this. Although besides some minor balance and tweaks, the pack overall is amazing and will reward you with many hours of fun. Alright, so at the end of the last video, I mentioned that I wanted to get 100% quest completion, and I can now say we have 100% of the quests completed. I didn't claim any of the ones I just completed there, but we can go through each chapter and we can see 100%. This was very easy now that we have creative ME storage cell. We can just partition any item we want and it shows up in our ME system. So as I mentioned, I am really happy with the way the base turned out overall. I think the building style really worked out with the limestone and the basalt. Although one thing's for sure, and next pack there's going to be no yellow. But yeah, DJ2 had so much automation challenges in it. You can see most of them as I walk through here. This back area of the base sort of evolved organically. I didn't really have any of this planned out. But again, it worked out alright in the end. But yeah, I said at the beginning of the series I didn't want to make square rooms anymore. And I sort of half achieved that goal. I think I've still got a long way to go before I'm satisfied completely with the building style. So hopefully next pack we can do a better job on the building, that is. But yeah, most importantly, everything here is functional and it all worked. It got us to the end of the pack, right? Which is the most important thing. But yeah, I've got a little surprise here at the end of the video. And alright, what better way to finish out this series than to blow up the base? And I have some help from Tazz and Troxarus here.
Hey,
Alright Tazz, I'm going to let you do the honors.
There we go, so
okay.
The is charging now. Some energy saturation. We have a containment field strength of 50% still.
Hopefully no server crash here.
I hope not.
We should survive the blast though, right? Because of our armor.
And well, I don't know. I can press activate right now.
Yeah, do it.
Core temperature of 2000 degrees with a set. Yeah, okay, we go. Oh, that didn't sound good.
Okay, I'm gonna stand back a bit.
Blow up.
Let's see what remains.
I do have to say, Tree, this was an amazing series, and I would like to thank you so much for all the hours of entertainment. I think I can say that for all of the community members, that this series definitely was a joy to watch. Definitely.
That is much appreciated. Thank you. Alright, this can't be long for explosion now.
20 seconds remaining. 10, 9,
4, 3, 2, 1.
Come on, baby.
It's gone. Wow, look at this place. Wow. That was awesome.
I actually got disconnected.
Yeah, I know.
Free, as I said already, I want to thank you so much, and we'll see each other for next time.
Yeah, of course. Wow, look at this place. Oh, the shulker box survived. Oh, with all the dimlets in. Wow, that explosion did not disappoint. I mean, look at this place. Our extreme reactor's gone. The fortified glass still remains here though from the liquid crafters. I'm really surprised the server didn't crash, but we have a few random floating items here. What is this thing? Oh, this is the Void World portal. Some things right on the edge of the base here survived. And that is a lot of item entities on the floor there. So that is the end of our Divine Journey. I want to thank all you guys for watching, commenting and supporting the channel throughout this series. If you're interested in chatting about Divine Journey or want to follow the next series on this channel, consider joining our Discord server. There is an awesome community on there. Also, as requested by you guys, I have started a Patreon page. If you enjoy the content and you want to support me further, consider joining the Patreon. Links to both the Discord and Patreon you can find in the description. Some of you also may be wondering what's next for the channel. Well, I am very excited for the future, and I hope you'll consider joining us on the next journey. Perhaps not so divine, but maybe we'll find something else on the horizon.